We're all good? All right, so once again, we'll start with the speaking program. We're going to move the podium out of the way. We'll cut the ribbon, and then we'll take Q&A after that. Thanks again for everyone joining us today. I'd like to introduce New York City Department of Transportation Commissioner Ydanis Rodriguez.
Come on, let's give them a bit of applause. Everyone here. Look, I always say I've been a grassroots organizer my whole life, and I was a teacher for 15 years, and I was a council member for 12 years. And when I was teaching, I told my colleague, I always see my role as a teacher from the perspective of a grassroots organizer. And then as a commissioner, I carry on, the same energy and commitment and approach, that I have as a grassroots organizer, as a teacher, even though my role at that time was to be a legislator. And I was a commissioner, and I continue to carry on all those experiences. For the first time, DOT has a commissioner that has been a grassroots organizer, that has been a teacher, and also a commissioner that has been living in the face of the underserved community, because I had never moved from Inwood. And as I said, not to the west of Inwood, but to the east of Broadway, which is also a different reality. And I encourage all my colleagues to look at everything always from the perspective of social class, because there is so many New Yorkers that they are asking for to be heard. They want to be part of the conversation about transportation. So for me, it's like a great day, before starting this day with the commissioner in the borough. First we have a bagel with the Minister of Transportation of UK that they wanted to share experience on what are we doing in New York City. And we also want to see what are they doing there. Congestion prices happening there. We believe that those are the type of things that also we can learn. So that, and I want to say thank you to all the advocates. And before, taking the podium and speaking to the board president, yes, remember those years, when he was a staff or a council member, when I was a council member, when both of us we were council members, when both were there making the case, running for speaker, here we are. The commissioner with the great borough of Queens, the board president of Queens also. And also, yeah, the greater borough, right? But yeah. And the same thing that I know from the council member for the center is like, we are not the typical elected official commissioner or president of the borough. We are people who are not speaking about equity. We've been fighting for equity our whole life. So thank you, everyone. Today in this press conference, we are doing a kickoff of the commission in the borough. Since I took office in January 2022, I make two changes. One, for the first time, DOT have a person that is in charge of workforce development. Second, for the first time, DOT has a person that is responsible to connect DOT with all immigrants community. And for the first time, we have a person that is coordinating the commissioning in borough. Paola Ruiz doing a great job, but also we have Eliezer Bueno, who is the director of commissioning the borough. So he's working the whole year, he's looking on where are we going next. So the next stop is going to be Staten Island in January. So, and then we go every 5 months, we come back to the same borough, listening to the community, not only doing the ribbon cutting and taking the podium, but as we're going to be announcing, the great accomplishment that we made today, then I go and meet with 150 workers at DOT, that they are the one in the field. And then we will have a community engagement at 5 p.m., listening to everyone, to the PTA, to the NYCHA leaders, to the arts community, to everyone who care for transportation, not only for those of us who are actively participating in the advocates, elective, and commissioner, but to those that have never been invited to talk about transportation. So this is part, again, of what we started doing since we took office. So on behalf of Mayor Eric Adams, we want to say thank you to everyone that worked so hard to continue improving the safety of everyone, especially pedestrians and cyclists. Everyone has to do the job, but we also have to celebrate. In the United States, we have the higher number of pedestrian fatalities since 1987, the higher one. In New York City, as today, we have the lower numbers of pedestrian fatalities of the last 114 years. That's the result of the work that everyone's been doing, from the advocate to elected to commissioner and the support of Mayor Adams for us to have the resources that we need. This fall, New York City DOT finished upgrading standard bike lanes on 11th Street, 44th Drive, and Jackson Avenue, which were often blocked by double parked cars. We parking protected bike lanes, and on the two busiest block of 11th Street, New York City DOT installed concrete barriers, which you see pictured next to me, to further protect cyclists and keep drivers out of their lanes. These life-saving lanes fill a critical gap in the bike lane network and better connect cyclists traveling from all over Queens to both the Queensboro and Pulaski bridges, as well as the Queens waterfront. The lanes will also complement New York City DOT work to build a Queens waterfront greenway, a top priority for Mayor Eric Adams, one of the 5 new greenway corridors the agency announced this October. We look forward to starting the planning process for the greenway at the beginning of next year. So stay tuned, and we will be inviting everyone to come to this conversation on how we visualize the big agenda that we had to expand the greenway corridors that the agency again announced back in October. In addition to the new bike lanes, New York City DOT daylighted many of the intersections. We do hundreds of daylighting every year. And of course, Denny, TA, and Family for Safe Street, and everyone, rightfully so, you've been asking for New York City DOT to continue expanding the numbers of daylighting, because that's one of the special tools that we have in our box to improve, again, the safety of pedestrians and cyclists. Daylighting is the process of restricting parking nearest the curb, improve visibility between the road users. And when we will be going to do more daylighting, I will be asking for the elected official, for community board, to continue giving DOT all the flexibility that we need in order to remove those parking spots in those intersections that will allow for us to improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists. While many people see this street design built specifically for cycling, they also bring tremendous safety benefits for pedestrians and motor vehicle occupants. For instance, protected bike lanes, people would think that it's only for cyclists. However, these have shown to reduce deaths and serious injuries among pedestrians by 29%. These safety benefits are even greater for senior pedestrians. Protected bike lanes reduce deaths and serious injuries for older New Yorkers by 39%. And as someone who is 58 years old, this investment also will take care of people like me that are already AARP. So it's not only for those. So as we improve safety for senior citizens, we're investing in our future. This safety benefit, is for everyone, and we want all New Yorkers to continue supporting all the measures that we use to improve safety. That's because this design shortens the distance to cross the street and incorporate daylighting elements. So when we build protected bike lanes, everyone benefits. And this is a culture that we had to change, that sometimes car ownership believe that those measures are only for pedestrians and cycling. This improves safety for everyone. These lanes are just a few of the exciting bike projects New York City DOT has completed this year. Through our focus on equity, we have built new lanes in East New York, in Brooklyn, and Soundview, in the Bronx, because everyone deserves safe streets. Biking is not only something that should be affiliated with middle class and upper class. biking is also important for the working class New Yorkers, and that's why we are expanding, as many bike lanes as possible across the 5 boroughs, across all communities. And we have pioneered wider bike lane design on busy Manhattan corridor, like 3rd and 9th and 10th Avenues, to better accommodate legal electrical bike and scooters. We look forward to delivering more exciting projects in Queens, like on 31st Avenue, where we are planning a permanent redesign for an open street, and along the waterfront, where we will develop a new greenway. I'd like to thank all the elected officials, and you will hear from them who are here with us today, as well as the talented staff of DOT, from those who work today to be sure that we have the sound system, all the workers that we have, from Nicole, our Queens Borough Commissioner, do a great job. Ted Wright, Paola, Rubira, Gray, Barbara Wald, Rosie Dobbs, and many other, Carlos from the Intergovernmental, Paola Ruiz, and also Eliezer Bueno. With that, now let's hear from a great friend, a great leader, Queens Board President, Don Mauricio.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have a senior moment this morning, Donis. But certainly in Queens, you're getting it right. I can't speak for Brooklyn and the other boroughs, but it is great to be here in Long Island City this morning. It is great to be here as we celebrate the substantial completion of the new protected bike lanes here on 11th Street, as well as on 44th Drive and Jackson Avenue, which was my first job. My first job was on Jackson Avenue. But I know it's not exactly the best weather to be out riding, but for many of our cyclists, their bikes are how they get to work and certainly to school. So they're going to be out here regardless of how cold it is, and we're showing that same commitment by being here this morning. And we're here showing that same commitment by installing these 1.8 miles of protected bike lanes, because we all believe that the safety on our streets is paramount. And no matter how you use our streets, whether it's driving a car, riding a bike, or walking down the sidewalk, you deserve to be safe. You deserve to get where you're going in one piece without fear of losing your life along the way. But for many of our cyclists, that's a fear they carry with them whenever they jump on their bike and start to pedal. Through the first 9 months of the year, our city has already lost 25 cyclists to traffic violence. And according to Transportation Alternatives, 94% of them were killed on streets without protected bike lanes. And that is absolutely unacceptable. 25 cyclists killed on our streets is 25 too many. So as we celebrate these new protected bike lanes, we must recommit to building out the street infrastructure that's needed to keep our cyclists safe everywhere, because our streets are for everyone, no matter what your mode of transportation may be. And according to DOT, protected bike lanes are, as our commissioner alluded to, like the kind we're celebrating today, have reduced deaths and serious injuries by 29% for pedestrians. We know what we have to do to ensure safety for all. And this is one of the reasons I'm proud to have provided more than $7 million as borough president to street safety and street upgrade projects, including for bike lanes. I also just want to end in saying that we all often recite the numbers, and we talk about numbers as if numbers are just numbers, and they are. And we talk about 25, and I remember being out with my colleagues with Families for Safe Streets out in Astoria a few weeks ago. Behind every death, there was a dream. Behind every death, there was someone who had hope. And I think as my son celebrates his 8th birthday today, that there are young people, and we could clap for that, but there are 8-year-olds who did not make it because we did not invest in that infrastructure. So I want you to know that we are committed. We know that it's not just about us here. It's not just about the present. It's about the future. It's about making sure that every single person has access to a safe street. So congratulations to the advocates. Congratulations to you. This is your victory. It's not our victory. It's your victory. May we continue to advocate and push on. Thank you.
Thank you, Board President. Now let's hear from another great friend, Winnie Hope Albany, because we are, in Queens, the legislation section is almost ready to start. There's a numbers of bill that we hope to see pass in Albany, but it will require great partnership, and one of them is our great friend, Kristen Gonzalez, State Senator.
She brought the win.
Oh, man. Thank you, guys. Everyone, good morning. It's so good to be here. Oh, man, the elements. But, you know, it's worth braving the cold because, as you heard, this is an important issue. You know, you heard from our borough president. It's my first year in office, and I cover parts of Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. And while I won't take a side on what is the best borough, you're right, I think there's one thing we can agree on, which is New York should be setting a standard. And, you know, Hoboken, for example, in New Jersey, hasn't had a pedestrian death in 4 years because they've taken the same type of measures that we're taking today. So I believe that New York can be a leader. For this district, you know, my first year, I have seen just the incredible organizing efforts of all of our communities in coming together to say that these deaths are preventable, that we can do better, that we are going to implement these common sense safety infrastructure. And so I want to just deeply thank each and every advocate who's here, because this is truly your win and the result of your advocacy. I want to thank the Department of Transportation for being part of this. And you know, we've had a lot of street safety conversations over the last year. So thank you all for being such an incredible partner. And to every elected as well who has come out to say that, you know, especially in Queens, we'll shine. So thank you all so much. I'm going to keep it brief because it's cold, y'all. It's cold. All right. Thank you.
So Julie One is another great friend, great partner, always advocating. Let's hear from Julie One, a council member, a great leader, always a champion.
Good morning. It is Brick. Okay. It's so good to see you all. Thank you so much to Commissioner Rodriguez, as well as the mayor, the entire DOT team, and all of our overlapping elected officials, from our borough president, Donovan Richards, Senator Kristen Gonzalez, and then we also were just joined by someone who just rode up in style, Dan Wiley from Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez's office. And we also have Community Board Chair, and we also have the entire Transportation Alternative, Bike NYC, Families for Safe Streets, all of the advocates who have done this job. But today, I think it's really important to remember what this was sparked by. It is a celebration, but also the celebration and remembrance of the lives who were lost that was the cause, the impetus of these bike lanes. So I want to say their names. 45-year-old Aaron Podwy, who was a cyclist who was doored by a driver, then run over by a box truck in 2018, 21st and 46th Avenue. Robert Spencer, 53 years old cyclist who was killed by a driver in 2019, Borden Avenue and 2nd Street. And Mario Valenzuela is a 14-year-old cyclist who was killed by a truck on Borden Avenue. And since I've taken office 2 years ago now, we've had 35 crashes on this portion of 44th Drive and 11th Street and Jackson Avenue that we have, thankfully, now DOT has redesigned. Thank you, Commissioner Garcia and the entire team. But we still have so much work to do. Daryl Younger was killed crossing Jackson Avenue in April of this year on 50th Avenue as a pedestrian. And you just heard from the commissioners as well as all the elected officials on how important it is that bike lane isn't just for cyclists, but it's also for pedestrians. And as a mother of a young toddler who's just learning how to ride a bike, who's just learning how to walk, we want to make sure that both children and seniors who are the most vulnerable in our communities are safe to walk, and women are half as likely to cycle than men because of the risks at hand, because our city is still not safe enough for all of us to be cycling. But thanks to our friend Joby, who's holding up a sign of all the successful bike lanes that have been installed in West, well, not yet, but to come in Western Queens, this is just the beginning. And we really have to keep on going. But I just want to really thank the advocates, because some of these advocates have cried. They have screamed, they have kicked, but really the heartache that really comes from this work of all of the lives that we have lost, that we will continue to work to prevent, is a life worth saving, because as the borough president has said, that is a dream that did not get to live on. So thank you for this work. Thank you to the DOT team, truly, because I know that it isn't easy to always advocate and to implement bike lanes when there are folks who may not agree with us. But know that you have friends in us and you have support from us to make sure that this work is complete. And we really implore you to open up the South Outer Roadway on the Queensboro Bridge. It's our #1 Christmas ask for the holidays. It is what we dream about. This is what we wish about. This is what we ask Santa Claus for. We've been really nice this year. So we're going to keep on going, and I look forward to working with every single one of you. Stay warm. Happy holidays. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. We also need great partnership in D.C., and Dan would like to come and say a few words on behalf of Congressmember Nidia Velasquez.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I biked here from Williamsburg, and I took a little portion of McGinnis Boulevard to then come over the Pulaski Bridge and come here. And we still have work to do. We can improve McGinnis Boulevard, really making a road diet there and make it safer. I did have to dodge some trucks in bike lanes, so we have to kind of work out the loading and unloading. But I'm really happy to see here on 11th that we have daylighting, we have protected bike lanes that have robust environment for pedestrians to cross. And we've seen the statistics that actually protected bike lanes actually protect pedestrians too. And we see a marked increase in safety for seniors as well as pedestrians in general. So happy to see 6 daylighting projects here from Long Island City to Hunters Point and protected bike lanes. And from Congresswoman Nidia Velasquez, who's fought hard for Brooklyn Waterfront Greenway, want to see the full Queens Waterfront Greenway and better connections to our bridges for all commuters and everybody to be safer. So thank you so much for all the advocates here, Families for Safe Streets, Transportation Alternatives, all the local elected officials, and our DOT for coming together and making this a reality. Thank you.
I forgot one thing. I got to give a shout out to our friend Jimmy Van Bramer, my predecessor, the council member who really fought to make sure that this got started, and we're so grateful for everyone involved to make sure that it came to completion. Thank you.
Thank you, yes. Now let's hear from Danny Harris, the Executive Director of TA, great friend, great partner.
Thank you. There's nothing like being the last speaker when it's freezing cold outside. I just want to say a huge thank you to the Commissioner, to the Adams administration, to all the incredible electeds. I mean, what a testament that we have everybody from the local community board all the way up to those who are representing us in Washington to be here simply to give New Yorkers options. Even though I'm the head of Transportation Alternatives, I'm not going to talk about bikes for a moment. This is quite simply giving New Yorkers more options. If you live in a community where the only way you have to get around is a vehicle, that you're paying over $10,000 a year in car-related payments, then the system has failed you. And these are the moments when we're giving options back to New Yorkers. We're standing right next to a playground. Think of all of the residents here who can now safely get to this playground with their kids, the jobs that are just down the street, the bridge that's just around the corner. All of this is giving New Yorkers connections, whether you walk, whether you bike, whether you take public transit, and yes, whether you drive. So today is an incredible moment for safety, and it's important to stress that we were in this neighborhood just a week ago for World Day of Remembrance. And I just want to stress to all of the elected leaders who stood with us then and stood with us now is that this is where we need to be gathering, at groundbreaking after groundbreaking, giving all New Yorkers options, safe options to get around, because we shouldn't have to be at vigils. So thank you for your leadership. We know there's more to come, and this is a great example of what should be delivered all over New York. And we thank you, Commissioner. We thank the Adams administration. And again, we thank all the elected leaders who have made this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Only in 1 minute I'm going to say en español que estamos aquí representando a la Catherine Garden, haciendo otra inauguración de otra cantidad de líneas protegidas de bicicleta. Lo estamos haciendo de la misma forma que se están haciendo en cada uno de los vecindarios de Nueva York, para asegurarnos que cuando las personas monten en la bicicleta lo hagan de una forma segura, y de esa forma también estamos prestando atención a lo que tiene que ver con equity, asegurándonos que todas las comunidades de esta ciudad puedan tener asequibilidades. And I also want to encourage all the advocates and everyone to promote that there's a deadline on December 30 where any new membership, any one individual who subscribe to City Bike by December 30 in the phase 3 of the expansion of City Bike, they will have a major discount. So we want all New Yorkers who live in the phase 3 of City Bike to please subscribe. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the income. This is one particular big incentive that we were able to include in the new contract that we signed between DOT and City Bike, a major discount to anyone who will get the membership in the phase 3 of City Bike. And also any resident or NYCHA who receive any food stamp, there's also a big discount if they also subscribe to City Bike. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Like I said, we'll do the ribbon cutting, and then we'll take Q&A after that.